Okay guys, I'm overwhelmed by Serum 2.0. Hello Internet and welcome to a new tutorial. So in case you're still not aware of it, Serum 2.0 is out actually last week and there's just so much going on in this update. There's too many things to talk about, especially crazy psychedelic sound design ideas and techniques. So I'm just going to take my time to put up a proper tutorial for this huge update. Actually, there will be several tutorials. But today I just couldn't hold myself and not talk about this little feature that is going to change the way you sequence your sounds with Serum forever. That said, let's dive into this tutorial and see what is it all about. So here we are, Serum 2.0, and to create a simple sequence, we need a question and an answer. These are the basic elements of a sequence. So let's say oscillator A is our question, oscillator B is our answer. Let's turn down oscillator B for now. For oscillator A, I'll load an FM wavetable that I've created from my virus. Sounds like this. Let's take it one octave lower. You can hear the grittiness of the virus. For the second wavetable, or the answer, I'm going to use a wavetable from Serum 2 digital folder called IcanGBT. It's really good. Let's take it down one octave and hear the juiciness of this wavetable. See where this is going, right? So let's route the second oscillator, because it's on, to the second filter, right? Second filter, I'll set it to band pass, like so. Give it some drive, give it some resonance. Super electric. Now, let's leave it the way it is for now. Let's go back to oscillator A. By default, it's routed to filter number 1. So let's go to filter number 1. Let's go to the MISC folder and choose Formant 1 filter. Yeah, I want a formanty sound. I rarely use formant filters in my tutorials, and I want to change that a little bit. So let's the formant somewhere right in here. Give it some resonance, a little bit of drive. Now we have this. Now, if that was Serum 1 or any other synthesizer that has a couple of oscillators, basically, I would have just used my clone of rhythmizer or any random arpeggiator, or just wrote my sequence and used any modulation source to turn on and off the levels of these oscillators to create this question and answer game. But in Serum 2.0, Steve Duda introduced the clip function in here that is going to change the way you're sequencing your sounds and your oscillators and actually do everything inside of Serum. And trust me, it's way more than what meets the eye. So what I'm going to do in here, first of all, I'll record the output of my node grid device in here, or my random arpeggiator, inside of the clip, right? So what I'm going to do, I'll set the length to, let's say, 4 bars, like so. I'll set the snapping to off. So when I'm going to modulate the gate length in my random arpeggiator, Serum's going to record those differences and won't try to quantize them to the grid size that we've set to 1/16, 1/8, or whatever grid size is in here. So now all what we need to do is press record and play the sequence. And now hit stop. Perfect, so now we've recorded our sequence. But you might be asking yourself, but Ollie, aren't we going to trigger both oscillators at the same time now? Well, yes, but actually no. Check this out. Inside of Serum, now we have something called oscillator mapping. So we can map different octaves to different oscillators. So this means oscillator A, I'm going to map it to, let's say, octave C1 to C2, or actually B1. And oscillator B, I'm going to map it from C2 to B2. And now when I'll get back to my sequencer, I can, for example, highlight those notes in here. Let's set the snapping to 1/16. Again, we can zoom in. And now I can just set these notes 1 octave higher. And now these notes will trigger the second oscillator. These notes will trigger the first oscillator. Check this out. Perfect. Let's go back to the oscillator in here, set oscillator B 1 octave lower, because basically we're triggering it with an octave higher than the original settings. So we need to take it 1 octave lower. Now we have this. Exactly what we're looking for. And now we can just create a sequence with these notes. Perfect. We just created a very basic 4 bars loop, right? But we can actually push things a little bit further and make it way more interesting by adding the chance modulator. Check this out. In the note attribute in here, we have chance, right? So now all the notes have 100% chance of playing. So they will play every time. But we can change that. For example, I'll just go randomly with these notes. So now, not all of the notes have 100% chance of playing, meaning that every time the sequence is going to loop, it's not going to play in the same order. So we're basically going to introduce a little bit of randomization, or let's say a little bit of spice and dice. I don't know if you're familiar with the Arturia sequencers, but that's basically what the spice and dice function was doing. But yeah, anyways, listen to what we'll get now. See, it made it way more interesting. And of course, you can fine-tune those values to taste. I just made them real quick for the sake of this tutorial. If you like this content, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Things like that helps the channel a lot. And now, let's go back to our synth, right? And let's modulate these parameters and actually create a proper patch. So let's take the first telephone here. Let's modulate the format. Maybe set it to 1 bar, set it to free triggering. Yeah, 2 bars is better. And for frital number 2, or basically the second patch, let's modulate the cutoff with a note and random in here. Let's set the modulation in the matrix just a tiny bit like so. And just to make it a little bit more humanized, let's add the second LFO in here. Make it modulate just a tiny bit the cutoff and keep the rate maybe to 1 and 2 and triggering set to free. So now we have this. Perfect. Let's go back to the matrix, adjust those modulation values a little bit. The note and random, let's make it bipolar, make it modulate a tiny bit more. Now we have this. Perfect. And we can take another slow LFO, modulate the wavetable position of both oscillators. So we'll change the timbre over time, set the triggering, of course, to free and the rate maybe to 4 bars. Now I have this. And maybe a little note on random on the release of the amp, just like so. Just a tiny bit of modulation. Perfect. Let's get back to the oscillators. Give some stereo width by adding a little bit of panning. So let's say -8 for oscillator 1 and +8 to oscillator B, or basically 8 degrees to the left, 8 degrees to the right. And let's go to the FXs in here. Add a tiny bit of distortion, like so. I'll set it to soft saturation. It's my new favorite distortion in Serum. Sounds like this. Yeah, maybe oscillator 1, take its level down a little bit. It's way louder than oscillator B. Let's go back to the FXs. Let's add a little compressor in here. I'll add a multi-band compressor, leave it the way it is. Yeah, just to give it a little bit of an OTT vibe. And now let's add a delay like so. Of course, link channels, set them to dot, 1/8, ping pong, tiny bit of feedback, set the filtering like so. Now we have this. And with the kick and bass, we'll get this. And this is how you create this patch. If you want to support me and my work, don't forget to become a Patreon or leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Things like that helps the channel a lot. And if you want to dive deeper into Psytrance production and sound design, check out my preset packs and masterclasses on my Gumroad, link in the description. And with this, I'll see you in the next one.